One. Today's episode is brought to you by our very own High Noon Podcast t-shirts. Check out the HighNoonPodcast.com store for more details.
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I'm your host, The Blevins, and with me, as always, is my good friend Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. All right. We got yourselves a nice show today. I've always wanted to say that, like it's a monologue for a late night show. I don't know why. I've just always wanted to say that.
It should be a fun show today, though, because we've got like exactly one tournament to talk about.
Well, two tournaments. It's just two different like qualifiers for one tournament.
Right. So, yeah, we'll have plenty of room for tangents. So if they come up, we don't have to stifle them.
And, of course, this is going to be the first episode where we never go on a tangent because
we just said
we have plenty to say. It's like, all right, guys, we'll see you next week. But, yes, we do have a little bit of housekeeping to go over. The most important thing is you just heard it. We've got, and if you're looking on the video, we've got, High Noon Podcast t-shirts. They're in. Or rather, they've been up for a while, and mine came in.
Yeah, we're finally able to show them to you. So if you're not watching on YouTube, feel free to go over there and check it out so you can get a little preview of what they'll be like. But, yeah, there's a store button on the website, HighNoonPodcast.com. You can order those as well as a hoodie we have up there and
coffee mug.
So then one thing, too, I want to say about the store, I made some predetermined colors and put them up as items. There's a lot more options than I pre-made because you can just choose from them. So if you don't like the colors that are there, check it out. You can get different ones.
Yeah, I got the royal blue one, and I'm going to just real quick to spare the iTunes viewers. No, you can kind of see it. It says High Noon Podcast on the back in the cool font. I actually, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on in the show, I made a video, an additional video for the show, and I show off the shirt in that video. So reason I waited to kind of promote him more, I mean, we talked about him a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that the quality was up to our standards and that, because we haven't ever used this company before, wanted to make sure that the shirts were good and they were good quality. And so far, so good. I'm quite pleased. So feel free to check those out. And also, you can check out our new Patreon, Tiers and Goals. I made some dingers. I made some humdingers. That is another place that you can get shirts there. Some of the tiers, there's some higher tiers that are like, there's more stuff. And it's like, if you wanted to support the show more, you'd get more. And then I just made some like ridiculous, crazy tiers that like no one is ever going to do. But I'm like, I'm just going to put them out there. We'll see what happens. So
I like the gift you put on Twitter when you posted about them. Like the golden girl with the knife.
Posted some crazy tiers, but that was fun. I did post some new tier goals, or some new goals as well, and those are all serious. It's not just craziness. The one,
it might be a little crazy, but we'll actually do whatever is there.
Oh yeah, regardless of how crazy the tiers and goals are, we will actually do them if we got there. Or if we got those tiers like that, they're not like, oh, sorry guys, just JK not doing it. They're all there. And actually, in that vein, if you guys have any ideas for tiers, people, I mean, the reason that we basically got the idea for the stupid talentless cupcake video was because you guys let us know that's what you wanted to see. So if you let us know, we'll do it, or at least try to, within our power, do it.
We won't do it well necessarily, but we will do it.
Almost by definition, we won't. But we're gonna try. We're gonna try our best to at least make it entertaining. So yeah, check all that good stuff out. So let's move on to the what did we do last week? Deathblow, you want to start?
Yeah, I definitely had an interesting week. I went out to Erie again to go see the Sausage Party movie, which was hilarious.
I
If you
saw it
haven't seen
yesterday.
it, they do. Yeah, it
Yep.
was really good. I was personally hoping it wouldn't take itself quite so seriously.
Yeah, it was a little heavy-handed,
Right.
ironically.
Like they stumbled into this good movie, and I just wanted to laugh hysterically for however long.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite meet that expectation, but it exceeded expectations in other ways. Definitely worth seeing. Don't necessarily expect what I did, which was like a satire of all animated movies and things like
No,
that.
it wasn't
It
bad.
actually has a bit of a plot to it, and gets. It reaches both goals though by the end. The last scene is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, if you like Seth Rogen humor, and people who like it know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the best way I can describe it. It's like Seth Rogen humor. Like it somehow takes the like absurdity and ridiculousness and Seth Rogen funniness of the interview and like turns it up somehow. Like the interview was extremely like over the top and crazy and stupid, and Sausage Party is even more crazy over the top and stupid, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
But yeah, so I went out to see that in Erie this weekend. And if you don't know, I go to Erie to hang out with some friends I knew when I was playing Magic the Gathering very regularly. I have a good friend out there who owns the card shop in Erie, Pennsylvania, Game Core. Feel free to check them out if you're in the area or ever stop by. They're opening like a second location very, very soon.
One of the best stores in the tri-state area for sure.
Yeah, really, really great place to play. And so I'm sitting there, and the guy I was driving out with wanted to play in the Magic tournament that day, so I was going to have nothing to do for like 5 hours. So they handed me a deck, and I decided to play in my first Magic tournament, or play really my first Magic at all in like 2.5 years. And I won the tournament for the most part. I mean, I scooped in the finals because what do I need a playmat for if I'm not playing this game? So I let a guy that I like out there who is my opponent, I let him go ahead and take the playmat. But yeah, I ran the table except for one matchup. It was terrible, and I'm very happy somebody else beat him in the top 8 so that I didn't have to see him again. He had like sideboard cards for against me in his main board, and I just got absolutely annihilated. But I beat my buddy who owns the shop, who's been on the Pro Tour before. I don't know that we've ever played a game of like sanctioned Magic before, so it was very good to just finally get definitive proof that I am in fact a better player than he is. And there's really nothing he can say about it. I don't care about your Mold of 4, John. I'm just saying it right now. It doesn't excuse game one. It doesn't excuse game one. That's all I'm saying. No, so I've had a little bit of fun with him in the last couple days because that happened. I had to beat the guy I drove out there with in the top as well. So it just felt good to know that I can pick that game up and play at a high level. I'm not actually a better player than John is. It's probably pretty close unless you factor in limited. Then he crushes me, but.
Oh man, Limited's so good, man.
Oh, it's so bad. I hate it. But anyways, also, let's see. I'm trying to think of what else I really did this week. Played a little bit of Diablo, not too much. And the team's been trying to get back into the swing of things a little bit. So we did have a scrim this week, and we were trying to get some practices going. We did lose the scrim, but I got to say it was like really, really well fought. We didn't get blown out on any of the maps or anything like that. We lost 3-1 on the King of the Hill, but like two of their wins were 99-99, and we had a 100-0 win on the point we won. So I was real happy with the way the scrim went. We did lose our Reinhardt player, so we're scrambling. He won't have internet for like a month and a half, which is really unfortunate.
Funny story. I might be a Reinhardt main now.
Oh, that's the worst thing.
Like, I'm not even just saying that just because you said that. I've been playing Reinhardt and ranked, and it has been quite good.
Yeah, he's really good. I've never had any issues with how good he is. In fact, I always want one on my team if there's a payload even remotely involved. But he's just so outside my play style. I don't know. Maybe I've just tanked too much, and I'm done with it. And I want to be able to shoot someone.
I like him, because it's very easy for me to control where the team should be without me actually having to talk to the Neanderthals on my team. People just instinctively follow the Reinhardt, which is great, and I usually have better positioning than most people. And I probably am playing him a bit too aggressively, but my rank, which is in the mid 50s right now, I can basically do whatever I want and not get too punished for it. I'm sure as I progress higher, I'm going to start getting punished, but I've just been having a blast with him. I've been getting one of the games I won yesterday. I was gold damage with Reinhardt.
I've seen it, but it's rare, and it's usually a bad thing and doesn't happen when you win. But good job on you for pulling that out. Yeah,
somehow.
Let's see. The only other thing I can think of that I did this week was I listened to a dev update where Jeff Kaplan specifically told me how great of an Overwatch player I am. And we'll get into more details on that soon, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm interested. I'm not even sure what you're referencing right now. But
you didn't hear him say Deathblow. You're a really great Overwatch player.
No, I didn't say.
Oh, it was there. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it in a little bit. In terms of what I did last week, I watched definitively the biggest esports tournament that has ever happened in terms of prize pool, the Dota International number 6. You say Resident Sleeper. I haven't played that game in 3 years, and I was super pumped to watch it. I don't know. It was a factor of I have put hundreds of hours into Dota previously, even though I have not touched the game in over 2 years. When I played the game, it was still in beta. There wasn't even items in the game. I don't know any of the teams. I don't know any of the players. I don't even know half of the characters. I don't even remember any of the strats or anything. I know basically nothing about this game, and it was entertaining as heck to watch just because the production value of the tournament was insane. The cool stuff that was like in the stadium was insane. I don't know if everyone feels this way, but when I see a stadium that is meant for sports packed full of people watching an esports event, that gives me chills and gets me pumped regardless of what it is. When you see like them get a kill or like a double kill and you hear the roar of the stadium behind the casters, that I don't care what I'm watching. It could be Counter-Strike, it could be League of Legends, it could be Overwatch, Dota. Heck, it could be Hearthstone, even though it like almost never happens in Hearthstone. Whatever it is, I want to watch that tournament, and the production value was insane. The grand finals match, the best of 5, was played. The winner, the difference between first and second place in that was $6 million. They played a game for $6 million. Not total prize pool. It was first place got $9 million, second place got $3 million. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, how can you not want to watch that? It was like the previous tournament, the previous highest tournament was the International 5, which was the year before. The International 6 broke the record. So, like, regardless of whether you're a fan of Dota or not, regardless of almost any factor, if you're even remotely interested in esports, it is a sight to see, a sight to behold, even if just for the historical factor of it.
Yeah, I made my joke. I love a lot of what Dota is doing for their esports community. I love the way now they're the ones that like built in the crowdfunding to the game, right? So like you buy a skin,
everything
you're contributing
about
to the prize
Dota,
pool,
except for the actual games that take literally an hour, is fantastic.
Yeah, I really just don't enjoy playing the games. I still can turn on and watch really, the League of Legends clips when they come up on my news feed on Facebook. I stop and watch them because I understand the game.
You don't even really need to understand it that much. You don't even need to know exactly
there's heroes I don't know because I haven't played in 2 years, and I can still pick it up. I just understand the mechanics, and I can recognize the skill on skill shots, things like that. So I definitely agree. If I'd have known it was going on and I wasn't traveling a bunch this weekend, I definitely would have been tuned into that as well. But I did miss it, so I probably won't go back and watch VODs. But I it's just like you said, it's so cool to see an esport in a sports stadium and like hearing the roar of the crowd, but over the announcers. That's something that is reserved for football and that sort of thing in my mind. So it's great to see video games kind of ascending to that level, and hopefully we're seeing the big E-League event that's going to happen and be on TV.
To go to that.
Oh, we were talking. We even did the research, like how much money would we need to get wherever, it's in Atlanta, I believe, and we
might be able
could
to find us a place to stay for free too.
Well, we can continue to discuss it and think about it, because I'd still love to go, but at the same time, it seems pretty soon.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. I'm not going to have the funds to do it anyway, but
yeah, it would be probably pretty tough. But if Overwatch ever gets close to that level and holds anything in the Northeast, I think you can count on me and you being in those seats.
Absolutely.
What else did you do this week, though, bud?
Yeah, so that was basically it. No, I also saw Sausage Party. I went to a minor league baseball game in my local hometown. The Buffalo Bisons played the Pawtucket Red Sox. I like watching minor league baseball. It's entertaining to me, even though it's like kind of boring. Baseball as a sport is kind of boring, and I'm perfectly willing to admit that, but something about being in the ballpark with the peanuts and
Terrible hot dogs.
I don't get hot dogs. I usually just eat peanuts and drink a beer. But it's like so close to where I live now. It's like I'm like priced into going. It's just so fun. And yes, minor league baseball is boring, but the games go really quick.
And there's no TV breaks, things like that, so it moves pretty fast.
They have the pitch clock on too, so it's
not a super crowded stadium, so you can
kind of was because
it
was a Friday night, and it was a Friday night. There was a Drake concert going on at the other stadium, which is across the block, and it was a fireworks night, so there was a ton of people there. But still, it's still fun.
Yeah, I like to go with a group of people so you can like talk and have a conversation.
Yeah, I went with a bunch of people from work. That was great.
Yeah, it should have been fun.
Yeah, but yeah, so let's move on. Not talk too much more about minor league baseball. Boy, was I wrong about not having any tangents today. That's about as far deep as you can go talking about minor league baseball.
Yeah, we're digging for content here, guys. You can send us questions and help us out during these down weeks. We even tweeted looking for them.
But let's move on to what did you guys do last week? Last week our question of the week was, who would you guys like to see on the show as a guest? And we got a nice handful of suggestions, but definitely want to see more. If you have any suggestions who you want to see the show, tweet at us and also tweet at them too. Just tag them in there. Let them know. It will definitely help us. I did officially reach out to someone, not going to reveal who, sent an official letter of invitation, cordially inviting them to be on the High Noon Podcast.
You probably marked it as spam.
Certainly got marked as spam. We are almost certainly being watched right now and not on the stream by the feds because I invited President Obama. But, yeah, so...
I wouldn't allow that, don't worry.
And we got into politics. But yeah, so that would be really cool if we got that person to be on. Not going to reveal any more than that. There's a couple other suggestions. I'm going to reach out to. I think I'm going to reach out to probably between 3 and 5 people. My thought right now is, and I can reveal this, I want to get at least one, if not a couple, of people who are on the ballot for the Overwatch. The what's it called? Overwatch not Invitational. Overwatch World Cup. I want to get a couple people who actually made it on the ballot because they were schmoozing the Blizzard. No, I'm off that soapbox. I'm on a different one now. But I would like to interview some of those people, see what they think about it. Like get them before the tournament, and then maybe talk to them afterwards, and then maybe become best friends with them. And then no, I'm kidding.
Let them carry us and rank.
Let them carry us and ranked.
It'd be great.
But yeah, so keep those coming. Really appreciate it. Tweet at us, tweet at them, and all that good stuff. We also, you guys heeded the call. We got some iTunes reviews. Deathbow, take it away.
Yeah, so we've got 3 of them to talk about, and thank you guys so much. We've said it again, or said it the last couple episodes. We'll say it again. This is like the currency that this is the number one thing you can do to show support for the podcast.
Yeah.
Even above, the patrons, everything like that. That's all additional. This lets everybody know and helps us expand our audience more than anything else. But Random Guy 240 said, best Overwatch esports show out there, gave us 5 stars. Thank you so much for the kind words. Really appreciate it. Justin, the filthy console player. Nope, just the console player. Sorry about that. Misread it. Said favorite Overcast, gave us 5 stars. Says great podcast. Only place I go for weekly tournament updates. Better than another podcast I don't want to name because they actually play the game. The only thing I would add would be more pro strategy and comps. Definitely noted, Justin. We will definitely look into that. We do, when things change drastically, try to focus on it, but the meta's been really calm for the last couple weeks. Very small, minor changes. So hopefully in the future, as things shake up, as there's balance changes or anything like that brings somebody new in, we'll talk about it. And we actually had some word from Blizzard about some potential changes that might be coming up down the line as well. So hopefully we can get into that if we can scramble and find last minute research so we can give you verifiable information. The last one here is love the show, 5 stars from Verbinator. He said, hey, I'm a new listener and I love the show. Great quality and ideas. My only suggestion is that the Discord server be available to everyone, but have a Patreon-only channel with special perks. I understand the Patreon-only idea, but I would love a community to find and make friends in without having to play. If not, that's fine. I'll keep listening. Keep work, or great work. Keep it up. I can't read.
Keep work, grade it up. Got
yes. I like that. I like that a little better. So we're just going to edit that for you. No, but thank you all very much for the positive reviews. Even if you have a negative review, go ahead and leave it because it lets us know what we're doing wrong, helps us get better in the future. So everybody that's reviewed this week or in the past, thank you so much.
Yeah, and only to briefly comment on the Discord channel thing, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I just don't want to cheapen what the patrons, the current patrons, have done. We'll think about it, but I don't know.
We had an open. One thing I'll say is we had an open Patreon, or I'm not Patreon, Discord server in the past, and we used it to invite people when we were playing with them, things like that. It got really diluted, and it got to the point where we didn't want to follow it because people were having personal conversations on there, not trying to interact with us at all. Just totally fine. If you're on the patrons, feel free to talk to each other and have at it. But when the numbers got to a point, it stopped really being about the podcast, and we do want to keep it that way. We're also learning a lot about Discord, how to use it, how to set it up, how we can provide those perks. And I'm just worried we can't quite deliver enough of a perk with a text-only.
There's
definitely a text-only chat.
Yeah, exactly. Totally drunk in the Twitch chat points out that there's several options for Overwatch Discords out there already for finding groups and talking Overwatch. That's true. We want to keep the HighNoon Discord to be about HighNoon. And yeah, the old HighNoon Discord that we have kind of just turned into our own personal one where a bunch of my friends go that aren't necessarily associated with the podcast, though a lot of them are in the stream right now, so rip. But yeah, so I think we're gonna keep it as is now. If Discord adds functionality that we can really provide that premium feel to the patrons, then we'll definitely consider it, because I definitely want the community to grow. But I think that's kind of where we are now in that regard. And one last thing I wanted to talk about for what you guys did this week before we get into the tournaments. Whenever I find a cool article or a cool review or anything like that, I like to bring it up. I like to throw some shout outs to other people in the community. And at Captain Planet Overwatch, or at Captain Planet OW on Twitter, wrote a fantastically in-depth and stats-based and really intricate meta review of all of Overwatch. So that I think a lot of the stats are only based on tournaments, but if you go to overbuff.com, I believe, or check out our tweet about it, it's a really great read. It's super. It's based entirely on statistics from tournaments, not just conjecture and theory. It's nope, this is how much this character is getting played. This is how this one is. There's a tier list based entirely on play percentage, not on like, oh well, I think that Junkrat is actually quite good in this meta. It's just people aren't playing him well enough. It's like, no, he's D tier because 5% of people played him, or he's played it 5% of the time. So really fantastic analysis. There's a lot of resources out there, but this one like stood out to me. Because it was just so in depth and just based completely on statistics, which I personally like that a lot. Even though I don't usually write that way, maybe that's why I like it, because it's like the exact opposite of the way that I tend to write. But yeah, so check out at Captain Planet OW on Twitter, at Overbuff on Twitter, and check out overbuff.com for that article. It was quite great.
And quick before we move on as well, we do have a question here that was sent to us last week, Tuesday. That's the day after we record. So I got the feeling he wanted it in last week's episode, but it was at Ryan Reyes on Twitter. He shot us a tweet to let us know. And I'm just going to kind of try to digest it. But basically he said he found a new play group. They played like 7 or 8 games and won them all. They went on a big streak. They were playing Diva, Lucio, Zenyatta, Reaper, Genji, or Tracer, and then 76. Now, once they started to move up and level and get to the point where, they had a decent ranked or competitive score as a group, they started to lose a bit more often and get rolled over. There's a lot, and they talked about this in the dev update today. You have, 2 guys ranked 73 queuing with a couple 45s. And, there's obviously a skill disparity here. And it creates some interesting balance problems and has frustrated a lot of people. So we started to play against those teams that are trying to make that last-ditch climb to get as high as they can or break into top 500. And they were starting to try to figure out why. And they realized in that lineup, I said, there's not one Reinhardt there. And his question was, is there, really any way that they can win regularly without Reinhardt? Is he mandatory on certain maps or game types? It seems like most pro teams look like, Zarya, Zen, Lucio, McCree, Genji, some other player, Reinhardt, or, they could play Winston or something like that. Diva gets thrown in sometimes, but they worry that they don't have a Reinhardt, and do they need to make a move to get one? I'll let you kind of answer that first, Blevins.
Yeah, so being in a similar situation, a competitive queue player, not a scrimmer like Deathblow is, I've got to say I've come across a similar situation. Played a lot of games. I never really played Reinhardt at all, and I've found that a lot of times the missing link to my team was either a good Mercy or a good Reinhardt. If we had a good Mercy paired with another healer as well, not a solo heal Mercy unless they were like fantastic. If we had a good Mercy or a good Reinhardt, a lot of our games at least felt winnable. Whether we won it or not, we were at least in it, and we lost because we got outplayed, or it was a really close match and we, lost for whatever reason. It didn't feel like, oh well, my team's just stupid, we all lose. This is what rank 53 feels like. So I would suggest, and we talked a little bit about this before, I would suggest having a Reinhardt on any map that is not King of the Hill. It's super easy. I mean, if you're a team of 6, it's a little bit different because you can communicate easily and effectively, and you kind of get a feel for how you guys play as a team. But for me, as a solo queue player, I'm queuing up as Reinhardt, and it's just super easy for me to like de facto take over captain of the team, position the team where we need to be or where we should be. And it's really easy for the team, even if I'm not directly talking to people, to know exactly where they should be and why they should be following me. Because if you're not following the Reinhardt, you should have a really good reason why. And if you don't and you die, the entire team's like, dude, why are you not behind the Reinhardt shield? Like, that's like a very easy thing to not mess up. Just stand on the other side of the Reinhardt shield. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know, Death, did you have a different opinion on that one?
Yeah, no, not too different, really. Just, King of the Hill is almost a spot where you don't want a Reinhardt almost ever. There's a couple points where he's good because there's, limited engagement areas on the zone. The one that comes to mind is I think it's Nepal, the elevated one with the statue in the middle. You can really get some good use out of Reinhardt there.
Yeah.
There's another one as well. The one where Cloud9's always playing Bastion. Um,
Isn't
and
that the same one? No,
no, that's the lower
it's the
one.
old first. It's old first of Nepal.
Right. Yeah, that's the 2 points on the side.
Yep.
And one of them might even be Lijiang Tower, because I didn't think they were in the same one. But I got to get much better at the names of those points so I can tell you guys. But so there's only a couple spots on King of the Hill where the Reinhardt's really valuable. Your team seems very well set up for Koth. You can probably get away with it on 2 CP maps, though I personally like to have one. A lot of teams favor, a Diva Winston or a Winston Zarya, somebody that can jump up to the upper levels and attack any stationary defense that might be in play. As we've seen a little bit more Torbjorn show up on Hanamura, things like that. So it's not necessary there, but still probably preferred in most cases. And anything with a payload, it's about 100% guarantee that you're going to need the Reinhardt for the payload portion. Same thing goes for Hollywood Point A and Kings Row Point A. There's comps and there's strategies where you don't need it, but to have a team that doesn't have the ability to switch to Reinhardt is definitely going to be a huge handicap. And you would definitely improve your win rate dramatically. That's not
dramatically. I like it. I like that.
Dramatically or drastically, either one you can pick it.
Dramatically is actually a pretty sick word. Now that I think about it, we need to make a dramatically T-shirt. Coined.
I'm a big fan.
Phrase coined.
It would dramatically improve your win rate if you were to have a Reinhardt. So you should definitely go ahead and pick one up.
Yeah, meme created for good reason.
Yes.
Did we mention? I don't know. I either mentioned it before or mentioned it in the pre-show. I started picking up Reinhardt. I'm almost a Reinhardt main now. I'm still probably a Zarya main. And I think Zarya might be overall more effective or like more impactful, but the problem is that Zarya can't do it herself. And it's hard for the team to just naturally follow what the Zarya is doing without voice comms. The Reinhardt, natural leader, easy to focus the team on, and really effective on a lot of the points. So I think I agree. It's not necessarily needed, but it's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you dramatically if you have a good Reinhardt.
And think of it this way: the great teams that we see have somebody that almost plays Reinhardt to a fault, where they try it too often. They're afraid to switch it. They're like masochistically in love with the guy because he just dramatically improves their win rate. No, but they have somebody that will play it as their default. When they're having a bad map, even on Koth, they'll switch to it because they need to try something. Go where you're comfortable, and I think most teams kind of need that. It's the linchpin.
Yeah, 100% agree. But yeah, let's move on to the tournament talk. I want to try because we had a suggestion by one of our patrons, actually the first patron, suggested that we come up with little like time markers for when different segments of the show happen. So I'm going to try to make a weird gesture so that I can see when editing when we start the tournament talk. But let's move right into it. That was basically
What'd you do?
Nothing. Exactly. I just talked about nothing and made it sound like I was about to, but then I didn't. But let's move on. So we start the weekend off like we always do with the King of the Watch, the EU King of the Watch. If you check out patreon.com/HighNoon Podcast, it's possible that someday we may have an NA King of the Watch. But more on that whenever that happens, which is probably never because it's like an ambitious goal. But
it's ridiculous.
It's pretty ridiculous. So the King of the Watch, we saw the challenger game of Clutch versus Evox. And Evox took that one down 2-0. And then reigning champion Pretz lost to the newcomer Evox 4-2. So a new king has been crowned. It is Evox. And then we mentioned before, there's really only there's two tournaments that happened that were really big this weekend. And that was the E-League qualifiers, also known as Overwatch Open. For some reason, that's just such a terrible name, but I digress. So for the E-League EU qualifier number 4, we had Creation, Immortals, LG, and Melty in the top 4, and we saw LG beat Immortals 3-2. And for the NA qualifier for Elite League, we saw NRG, Liquid, Complexity, and Sody Pop in the top 4. And Complexity took down Liquid 3-2 in that one. And you were mentioning, Death, that both of these finals were set of the week or match of the week worthy.
Yeah, it was really, really crazy how good both of these finals turned out to be. And we say that a lot, but the EU one was really, honestly, one of the better matches that I've ever seen watching Overwatch. It was really, really great. It started out looking like it was going to be really lopsided, and then it looked like we might have got a reverse sweep. And then Luminosity, not only did they have to come from behind in the match score, right? Like they finally they were ahead and then they got caught up on, but then they were super far behind, and any match that ends on Temple of Anubis is just a match for me, right? So they're super far behind on the time bank, and they found a way to pull out a phenomenal defense and 0.1 hold to win the match. And from the point where it looked like, they have like 6 minutes to take a point to tie, like it was like they can't win this, and they're just hoping to draw, and then they found a way to pull it out. It was really, really an incredible match. Make sure you watch that if you haven't already. And as we talk about them, the VODs for these are already up on the website. It's right there. There's a VODs link right next to episodes on the website. So head over to HighNoonPodcast.com to check that out.
Yeah, so definitely some good ones there. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the tournaments this week.
Did you talk about the NA and give the winners there?
I did.
Did you? Okay. That one was really, really interesting to me because Liquid is a team we've been talking about a lot recently, and they went up against Complexity, which is, as Blevins always likes to give as a suffix to their name.
Oh God, now I don't remember. It was
formerly of TSM.
Formerly of TSM, that's right. Complexity, formerly known as TSM. Yes.
So Liquid has added a big name to their roster. Somebody, maybe not from the Overwatch scene. He's been big in the past. He was on one other team. I don't know. They didn't have great results. But Rafa, he was one of the better Quake players that really in I think the entire duration of the game. And I don't follow Quake at all, so I don't know Rafa at all. But one thing I did do was Google him and try to watch some YouTube videos. What he's been playing has been Genji. He's really been focused on the projectiles. But it seemed kind of weird because he also seemed like he was going to be their Zarya player. And it was really interesting to me that I watched this video and I see Rafa versus Cypher. And Cypher's over on Anox, I believe. On the EU side of things. So he's another Quake pro that moved over to Overwatch. So I loved getting to see them two play each other in a 1v1. And the one thing that really struck me was how many of the weapons from Overwatch are like direct ports from other games.
Yeah.
I did not know Zarya's beam was not a unique weapon, right? Like it seemed very unique to me. But in Quake, there's this, this two-pronged fork that just shoots a laser beam straight out of it the whole time. And it was one of his favorite weapons. So it was really, really cool to see them use some of the weapons that kind of led or paved the way for the current Overwatch kits that a lot of these characters have. And also explain to me completely why you'd put this guy on Zarya. He'd also probably be their Pharah player because he was switching between the beam and the rockets pretty steadily. There was a second map they ended up on, and I want to say it was there was a gun almost similar to Genji's, but I only saw him fire it once, and then I don't know, he didn't switch back to it before I got I stopped watching the video. But it was really, really interesting. Feel free to Google that Rafa versus Cypher. It wasn't super close when I was when I tuned out, and Rafa wasn't winning, but it seemed like a Rafa highlight, so I got the feeling it might have been a comeback too. I don't know. That might definitely be worth watching, especially if you're from Quake.
Yeah, I see some of those Quake matches, and I'm just like, I don't even understand how you can do these things. Why? Like, it's just like, it feels so stupid. I was watching Tavik, a.k.a. Pluppy, in my mind, play against IDDQD in Quake, and it was just like, I wanted to throw up because I'm like, I can never even think about being this good at an FPS game. It's like, oh, why are they doing these things? They're like shooting people before they can even see them. They just know, and then they're like auto headshotting them. Are you cheating? But I can see you're not. It's like, oh god. But yeah, I'm actually I've been tuning into a little bit of what the new Quake. I don't even know what it's called, but they're coming out with a new Quake or an updated Quake, and that should be an interesting one. I'd be interested to see how it does and what it does, because it seems like it might be a little bit too late to really get in on the like the arcade shooter market for esports. But it's almost completely different, because I think a lot of times Quake is 1v1, at least from the matches I've seen. So maybe it has a niche to fill, which would be kind of cool. It would also be nice if like you could directly play Quake and you could play Quake as to get your 1v1 fix, and the skills translate directly over to Overwatch, which would be kind of cool. But actually, we have a couple of other things to talk about in regards to the tournaments. We have the playoff invites, the points-based invites for EU and NA. And these are set, aren't they? There's no more tournaments, right? Or is there?
No, there are no more qualifiers for the E-League, but now there is obviously the regional playoffs where I don't know the count on these. It's like 12 or 16 teams, it looks like. I don't know, like almost counting 13 here. That can't be right. So, but yeah, so there is a direct seeding here, and I believe it is by seeding. The way the commentators were talking, we know, obviously for EU, we're looking at Misfits as the number 1 seed, Rogue number 2, Reunited 3, Luminosity 4. And the rest of them did not win their qualifiers directly, so I can't vouch 100% for these seedings, but I do believe that's what they were playing for. That's why they've been accruing points. But we'll have Creation, Anox, Nip, Immortals, Melty, Bringos, Pretz, OW Kings, and B-Fly. So really all names we've seen before on the EU side of things. It changes a little bit when we get to NA, where we have number 1 Envious, 2 Cloud9. It's like the world rankings right there.
Yeah.
Fnatic, Complexity, and then moving down we have NRG with 66 points. They had a pretty decent gap there. So clearly everything they did under their old brand carried over.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yes, yeah, it's great to see that there's no.
It follows
real
the players, not the organization,
right?
Which is the
way
it
it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know that I've seen it work this way before. So it's good to get that confirmation.
Yeah.
Next is Team Liquid, Sody Pop, Splice, Selfless, Colorado Clutch, CLG, Method, Northern Gaming. That's basically Northern Gaming Red. They don't have a blue team anymore, so they're just Northern Gaming. And then Gecko Fox, who has a name that. They're alluding to a name of an organization that I know Blevins really wants to see make their way into Overwatch. So I don't know anything about them. I don't know that I've seen them on stream before, but good on them. They had 14 points. That means they performed well on a regular basis, just not too well. Rough news for them, though. It looks like they're going to be playing against Envious in round 1, so that would be pretty brutal.
That's still a cool match. They'll probably get on stream.
Yeah, I don't know. They've been really skipping Envious until they
it's true. People don't want to see the slaughter.
No, when you know they're going to be in the finals, you just wait until the last 2 rounds to put them on and hope to catch the upset.
True, but then, but here's the thing, though. How bad do you feel as a tournament organizer when you miss the early round upset?
Right, when they get taken down by an unknown team.
Like you need to see, well, I guess then you get to follow Gecko Fox throughout the rest of the tournament, like these people.
Right, the Envy Killers.
Yeah. When they revealed that it was just ZP playing under the name of the old Pluppy. Like, I called this months ago. Like, what's going to happen? I called it.
But they're also, there's a decent chance, too, that there's buys accrued from qualifying early on. They might not play in the first round or 2. So it would be really great to see Gecko Fox make it onto stream. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll happen if it's them versus Envious. But a name to look out for. The way they qualified says they put up a decent performance for over 4 weeks. They didn't just get there once. If they'd gotten there off one finish, we would have seen them playing in the semis or the quarters or something like that. So, but yeah, so I don't know. Again, both of the finals from that tournament were the matches of the week. I will say this almost every week. I'll never mean it more than I mean right now. The must-sees. They were phenomenal matches. Make sure you check them out.
Yeah, I ended up catching the end of the EU, I believe. I think it was the EU. Yeah, and it was great esports to watch. ZP and Jorisar just really, like, week after week, putting the upping their casting game to the point where it's like, okay, it felt almost like it felt similarly to the Dota International in terms of like the hype that they can create just like naturally with their voices, and that's really like it's really what makes esports compelling, I think, to a lot of people, even if at a subconscious level. But let's move on to another segment, the only segment that we have a soundbite for. We need to come out with more. We'll do that eventually, but.
Oh, let's break it down!
Yes, let us break it down. We got a dev update today, middle of the day. I was actually feverishly writing down notes about it while I was at work. I just like had it on in the background and listening. But yeah, so there's the dev update is exclusively about season 2, which is coming. Do we know the date of season 2?
We should, if we were more prepared podcast hosts, we would likely have that information. I want to say September 1st, though.
That would be kind of cool. I think it's going to be a longer... Oh, maybe not, though. Because it ends this Wednesday, right? I'm pretty sure it ends this Wednesday, and then, like, that's, 2 or 3 weeks off? Yeah, that would make sense. So, but we saw a lot of changes.
Season 2 released September 6th.
September 6th. Okay, cool. But yeah, so we got a lot of changes. I'm just going to kind of pick them willy-nilly based on how I wrote them. They're mostly in chronological order. And Deathball, you can step in at whatever time you want. So one of the big things, or I don't know, it's more like a cosmetic or psychological change. They're changing the skill rating from being on a 1 to 100 scale, or is it 1? Yeah. Could anyone possibly get down to rank 1?
I don't know, Blevins, were you ever at rank 1?
We were at the same rank at one point.
Might be pretty close. I haven't played much comp at all.
I've been playing a lot of comp, which is why I'm not as close anymore. But now it's going to be...
that September 6th launch date, it looks like it's expected. I don't know that it's been officially released.
It's soon TM is exactly what it is. So it's going to be, instead of a 1 to 100 scale, it's going to be on a 1 to 5,000 scale. And I like it because now it's no longer like, oh, I'm at 55 3/4 and I lost, 3/8 of a rank from that game, or I lost, 7/16 of a rank. It's like, nope, you go up as you're always on a certain point. Like you're on, 4,863, not 4,863.7, which really is, it's not, I don't think, going to be any different in terms of, like, you're basically just taking the same number line and just putting different numbers on it. It's like the difference between inches and centimeters. The distance doesn't change. It's just how you look at it.
Afterwards, when you're talking to your team, you're like, I went up 2.5 blips. Like, that'll be fixed.
And you're just like, what does that even mean? You're like, I don't know. But I'm going to lose it next game, so it doesn't matter. But the one cool thing, I think it's cool, that on that 1 to 5,000 scale, I think Jeff Kaplan said 500 chunk increments. There's going to be 7 500 chunk increments that are going to denote different tiers. He mentioned bronze, silver, gold, master, and grandmaster. So there's 2 others that are...
He also mentioned diamond.
Oh, did he mention diamond? So that's 6. So there's one more, maybe like copper tier or wood tier or poop tier. I don't know.
Platinum?
Blev tier? Oh, yeah, platinum. So that would be 7. So there's 500 point denotations for rank. So instead of being like, oh, I'm a rank 4,263, it's like I'm a silver. Or I'm a high silver, low silver, which makes sense. Again, it's really just a psychological thing. There's not going to be any difference on the scale, except that in every tier except for the top 2, Master and Grandmaster, once you get into that tier, you can't go lower. So once you hit gold, you can't go below gold for that season. Which I guess is kind of a good thing. You can try really hard to spike that gold and then know that you're not going to go below and not feel terrible about going below. I mean, you already don't really have to feel terrible about it because you get rewarded based on your highest achieved, which is I really like. It doesn't create that situation where it's like, well, I'm top 500. I guess I'm not playing the rest of the season. It's more like you really want to just keep playing and playing and playing and playing until you get to as high as you can and then stop, which I like. I like to be rewarded for playing, and I don't like to be punished for playing. So That is another good thing. Death, do you want to go over some of the actual like gameplay changes, like with the coin toss? Do you have those?
I would love to, but you didn't put your notes into the show notes, so I don't have anything.
Okay, well, this is. Let me see. Is there anything else that's kind of like cosmetic? They did.
Well, they said they're aggressively tightening the level difference, who you can queue with.
Right.
And they did say aggressively restricting it. They'll release it some if it's too strict in season 2, but I can't stress enough how phenomenal this is. You shouldn't be rank 73 queuing with a 40 something. It doesn't make sense. It messes with the underdog system. I don't think they're even averages. I think some of my teammates have been doing math when we've seen them come up. And, I don't mind too much because in general, I don't think it's very likely somebody paid for another copy of the game just to have a terrible rated account, because then you have to like play games and lose on purpose. Yeah. And that's just such a time commitment. I don't know. So I mostly think they're taking people who they believe are better than their rating says and bringing them with them. So at the end of the day, they still have a rank 40-something on their team, and I'll just target him once I know what he's playing.
Yeah.
So it hasn't bothered me too much, but I know it's really frustrated a lot of people. And in general, I just don't think it makes sense. You play with people near your grouping. I don't want to be stuck. It takes away me having to explain to people like the Blevins who want to queue with me in rank about why I don't want it. And I just gotta be like, oh man, I can't. Stupid Blizzard. They won't let me. Oh, shucks.
Rip.
No, but I mean, in general, it's just going to help, I think, keep the matches much better balanced. It's going to make matchmaking a lot easier on them, and I think it's going to have a very positive impact on the ranked performance.
Yeah, I like it. The only thing, like, there's only like a very small segment of people who are going to get ranched by this, right? There's going to be people who played the game and are really good at the game and for some reason want to play ranked with their significantly worse at the game friends, and they can't. And I don't necessarily feel bad about that because you can just play quick match. Like, if you really want to play with your friend, play quick match. And if you really want to play ranked without your friend. If you really want to play ranked with your friend, help your friend get better in quick match and then play. Like, there you go. Get good, son. I don't feel too bad about that. And I think there's a very small segment of the population of players that are going to feel bad about that, depending on how strict it is. If it's too strict, then it could hurt. But
I really feel like the magic number there's 10.
10 what?
10 levels on the old system.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't even know what that would equate to now. But, yeah, that sounds about right. One other cosmetic thing, or I guess not gameplay-related thing that they're doing, they're taking the competitive points, the like purple little chips or gems or whatever that you get, and they're multiplying everything by 10. So all the chips you've earned so far multiplied by 10. All the chips you're going to earn later multiplied by 10. And all the costs of everything, including the weapons, multiplied by 10. And the reason they're doing this, we'll talk about in a second, is that they want to be able to differentiate the number of competitive points that they give out at the end of games. And we'll talk about why they're going to do that in a little bit. But one of the, I guess we'll talk about it right now. The one of the main things that people complained about season 1 was the coin flip. I think every single person in the world hated the coin flip. So they got rid of it, which is great. I think that's just going to be a net positive for everyone. And they got rid of sudden death completely too. Which, is what the coin flip would bring about. So for King of the Hill, nothing really changed. There was never sudden death anyway. It was always definitive. Like, the game was always contained within itself. Very clear winner every time. Nothing changed. For Control,
Assault, you mean? 2 CP?
Yeah, 2 CP. So like Volskaya and Potato Gardens, yeah. And Potato Gardens. I think it's the same. Everything's the same. The time bank system is still the same, except every point after the first point A that you take, you get 30 additional seconds afterwards. So, for instance, basically it just prevents you from having a situation where you make a comeback and you cap the point at overtime, and then your opponent does the same thing, and then you start the match. You don't have a chance to make the comeback because you had 0 seconds left. You get at least 30 seconds. And we'll link the video to the video because Jeff Kaplan explains it a little bit better. But basically, every point after the first one, you get 30 seconds after you cap it.
There is one other small change to the time bank system as well, and I do believe this will carry over into the payload time bank, which we'll be talking about in a minute. But what they're doing is, if you've noticed or had a very close game where you're attacking and there's 30 seconds left on the clock when you take the final point, they were moving you up to 2 minutes left on the clock and then marking it final attempt. They're changing the way this works. And I've gone on a rant about this in a previous episode about how much I hate this. And you'll never make me understand why they got 2 free minutes that I didn't get. They're dropping the threshold down to 1 minute. Okay, so you're only going to go back up to 1 minute, but you'll get that 30 seconds if you take that first point in the first minute. Now, when let's say it's the maximum amount of time, you cap it with 1 second left, they pop you back up to a minute, you gain 59 free seconds, the other team gets 59 seconds added to their time as well.
Yep.
So any time that one team gets given to them for free also goes to the other one. And this makes it perfect again, in my mind, because nobody wants to, you don't want to go through the selecting a hero, you have 1 second on the clock, the round's over. That would be the worst. So now they give it a playable amount of time, and my only issue with it ever wasn't that they had the extra opportunity, it was that now this time bank works so that they get 11 minutes and my team only got 9. This is ridiculous. And it was the first time I ever saw it was 1 minute and 52 seconds were added to my opponent's time, and then they beat us. And I was furious. It was terrible. It didn't happen a ton. It wasn't a huge problem because it just the percentage of games where it was affected wasn't that big. But it just, like he says in the video, if it's going to be a time-based system, it has to be fair. The teams have to have the same amount of time, otherwise it doesn't work. And I thought that was a phenomenal change. So I think it's almost official that 2 CP mode is now my favorite. It's just about official. Yeah,
it's pretty great. They fixed a lot of the problems, especially from before season 1 when it was almost unplayable, and now it's arguably the best mode. For sure.
I think, and it's super exciting to watch too. It fixed it as a tournament experience, as a playing experience. Everything about it is just way better now.
Yeah, it's super great. And the last thing they mentioned, in the vein of everyone hates the coin flip, we now have the introduction of potential ties. Granted, they're super rare. They can only happen on payload maps or, I guess, hybrid maps. If on payload, neither team...
Can happen on CP as well.
Can it happen on CP?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
think about it. You get a point for every point captured. If the same number of points are captured and the second team's time runs out, you know what I mean? If you both full,
he didn't talk about that. I don't think
it's rare, but it can happen.
I don't think he talked about that. I think he mentioned that the only feasible ones were in payload. So I guess it's just not that feasible in
It doesn't happen much, but that's why tournaments have the ruling of going to a best of 3 King of the Hill in the event of a tied capture point.
Gotcha. Well, ties can actually happen in ranked now if neither team either pushes the payload at all on offense, which is excessively rare, or if neither team captures the first point in a hybrid map, which is slightly less rare, but still kind of rare. Maybe it's somewhat rare at least. And those will result in just a tie. The game ends and it's a draw. Now, going back to why they multiplied these CPs by 10, you're still going to get some amount of competitive points for a draw. Not going to be the same amount as a win, because then people would probably just be draw trading, right? Just to grind up points or something. I don't know. I
think they said it'll be 5 points.
Yeah, you'll get 5 points and you'll get 10 for a win. So makes sense. There's still the same number of points being given out, which makes sense. So, it's going to stink to tie, because I don't think anyone really feels good about a tie, but no one really only one team felt kind of good about winning a coin flip, and one team felt really, really, really bad about losing a coin flip. So they'd rather just have both teams be like, I'll take my points.
Yeah, and the other thing we forgot to mention, I alluded to, was that payload maps are now moving to the time bank system, and this is both a great thing and a bad thing at the same time. By my mind, it's much better than coin flip and and all that. But I mean, how many people have to just unanimously agree that stopwatch is the best way to do payload?
Yeah,
and then have Blizzard just be like, no, we don't like it. Like, hey, I get it, Blizzard. That's my personality too. Stubborn to a fault, to a detriment. Even if it's bad, I don't care. I feel this way. But I mean, come on, like this, you're just going to change it for season 3 anyways, because when you take away the things like the coin flip for people to really, really complain about, you're just going to move up the fact that it's not stopwatch. People are going to be like, why am I reloading this payload map? This is the stupidest thing ever. Like, it's just going to feel weird when there's a perfectly acceptable time-based system. They even talked about how they had to like trim time away from the assemble your heroes screen and things like that to make sure that the payload games don't end up going too far. Hey, you know what has zero chance to extend a payload longer than it currently is? Stopwatch.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not the best. It like still has all the same problems we've talked about before, right? Like it still like has the possibility to end in the middle of a map. It still has the possibility, at least now. I mean, they could put the like in-game time client in. That would make it a little more,
and they'd have
a little more sense.
Yeah, they'd have to. They'd have to support it and implement it, and that would fix the way tournaments get watched. I mean, it's just frustrating to me. And I've said this in the past. I always want my gameplay and what I'm doing in a game to mirror the top level of that game, right?
True.
So if I'm going to go out and play football, it's probably not going to be two-hand touch. Like, let's go find somewhere where you can put some pads on, or at least where there's some contact. I've done some flag football. That wasn't the worst, but even then, the line play was the same.
Yeah.
Like, I had a guy in a 4-point stance across from me trying to get at my quarterback, and I had to stop him. So I wanted to as closely mirror the top level of play for the sport or the game as possible at all times. So unless tournaments are going to switch to this time bank mode, and hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it's great, and I play it and I go, wow, that was phenomenal. Really great job. I'll happily eat my words. The only thing I'll say about it, though, that's positive is that it's just exponentially better than the way it worked.
True. I'll take baby steps over no steps at all, which is
true. With you there.
I don't think we're not going to have time for me to go on my rant that I kind of wanted to.
We're only right about on time. Like we started pretty significantly late.
That's true. The other reason I don't want to go on it is because I pretty much went on it in the video that I made. So I'm gonna save it. And one other thing that they mentioned about the dev update. Again, if we missed anything, just check out the video. We'll link it in the description. They mentioned skill decay at the top levels. So if you are a grandmaster and you're like, oh, I hit grandmaster, I'm gonna stay up there forever, turn off my game and just die at grandmaster. No, you will. I don't remember if he said specifically how fast you decay, but you need to be in there at a reasonable amount to keep playing to show, yes, I deserve to be grandmaster. And in a similar vein, you can't get put into top 500 without playing at least 50 games, which I thought was a nice little touch. Like if you just spike the first, 12 games, like you win all 10 of your placement matches and then you go on like another run and win 5 more, you might get top 500 at the beginning of the season, which entitles you to the rewards. It entitles you to, little stupid little thing. It gives you top 500 for the season. That's kind of a cool thing. No, you need to put in the effort, the time, the grind to get top 500. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect too many people because I think a lot of the people that are in the top 500 are probably the people that are playing every day and are good and are 3-stacking with their friends who are also good. But it keeps some of the schmucks like me, I guess, from being in top 500 without really deserving it. So even though it, I guess, directly hurts me potentially, it's not going to hurt me. I'm not going to spike the first 15. But it could hurt me. I think it's good for the game. So I think that's just about gonna wrap it up for us for today. I'm not gonna go on my rant here. Maybe some other time. Check out the video. I'm gonna be posting it. I'm gonna try to edit it at the same time I edit the show, so hopefully it will be out by the time you hear the podcast. If not, keep an eye out for it on YouTube. I did a loot box opening. Opened up about 40 loot boxes, and I ended up going on a rant about the item system in Overwatch compared to the item system in Dota. And
did you get a Maricree?
I did get a Maricree.
Perfect.
But I got him before the box opening. So.
Gotcha.
But I did get some good stuff. I won't reveal everything I got, but it was some good stuff, and there's some decent moments. But it kind of turned like mostly into the rant afterward. But I'm not disappointed. And you can also check out the High Noon shirt in a little bit more detail. I really took the time to look over it and show you the back and the front and talk about it in a little more detail. So.
And keep in mind, guys, this weekend coming up, Saturday and Sunday, 4 EU teams and 4 NA teams are at a LAN event. Misfits, Fnatic, Creation, Envy, Reunited. Who is COL? The abbreviations always get me.
Complexity.
Complexity, yes. Okay, that's a new one. So the old, formerly known as TSM.
Yep.
Also, Rogue and Cloud9 are all playing in a cross-region LAN event at Gamescom. You have your, I think it's going to be on Thursday. We'll have the Bastion animated short. Has to be a great thing to watch, considering it'll basically be like the first half of Wall-E where nobody talks the entire time. So I'm really excited to see how they do that, with how good all of them have been so far. I don't even like Bastion as a character, but I'm really excited to see what they do for his lore. That should be a lot of fun. So yeah, and in general, I don't think there's anything else really Overwatch related going on this weekend. So if it's not at a time those tournament matches are going on, then enjoy some content from some other games, because I know there's going to be a lot of games at Gamescom.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked about it because it doesn't really have anything to do with competitive, but the whole Sombra thing is thought to be, we're at least thought to get some more clues into the Sombra augmented reality thing.
Yes, code breakers and all the code breakers and cryptographers are analyzing the dev update video to see where and when Sombra appears on Jeff Kaplan's shoulder or whatever they're going to hide in there. If you're following that, there's been some really, really cool and interesting developments in it.
Kind of crazy.
I say that, yeah, really, really crazy. I love that Blizzard's doing this, while at the same time I couldn't care less until I get actual details about the character. Just shut up and give me a highlight video.
I love this. It's so weird and crazy. And I talked to someone on Twitter a while ago. It's how sweet would it be if Sombra's been in the game since the beginning? It's just we didn't figure out how to unlock her yet. She's just been there the whole time. And creepy. It's they reveal that Sombra's always been right behind you, and then she kills a bunch of people. Oh wait, no, I don't want that to happen. It's oh god, Sombra's right there.
I'm still all in on your memes plan of just at the end of it, it's just going to be a message that says, be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah, drink more Ovaltine. Yeah, I would just love so much if it was just a complete troll.
And then they follow it up by there's just the heartbreak of reading that message on Reddit when it's up there, and then just followed by immediately they're okay, you figured it out. Here's all the info. Here's and then they just roll it out, but they wait until we solve it with their trolly answer in order to roll it out. That would be.
They've kind of had some trolly answers where it's when they figure out something, the code was oh, so you got that. Now it's time to really turn it up.
Right.
It's super cool how they're doing it. It's almost Blair Witch Project-y. We were kind of young when that movie, and the marketing for that movie was coming out, but that's kind of what it was. It was build is a real thing, and all the marketing behind it was making you think it was real, in real life, and it kind of broke the fourth wall a little bit. And this is kind of doing the same thing in a sense. So it's pretty cool. I think it's awesome that they're doing it, and I'd like to see them do even more stuff in a similar vein. I think it makes sense for Sombra because she's supposed to be a hacker or whatever, or a stealth hero. something. So like this makes sense. It's like it's not going to make sense for them to like reveal Reinhardt. It's like, oh well, here's the hidden code that Reinhardt wrote. It's written in crayon on a rock.
I wonder if people have analyzed the projection of his shield enough, though. Sombra might be hiding in there.
I still think Sombra is the bird, Bastion's bird.
Yeah, it could be.
In some way, they can shapeshift into a bird. That'd be cool. But, well, we did hit our quota for tangents. We went wildly off track. Everything from the Sombra ARG to minor league baseball. We made it full circle.
But it was better than 90s baseball, man.
Dude,
you and Hex
baseball,
lost me there.
Oh, okay. 90s baseball is great, man.
I almost tuned out, and Hex was on the show. I almost just hung up.
I almost just hung up the call. But we do have some awesome, like you said, Gamescom coming up. We've got some awesome events coming up. But at the same time, it's kind of a lull in terms of like volume of tournaments that are going to be out there. So if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, shoot it over. Send it to us on Twitter or email us or whatever method you'd like. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Do you have any last minute shout outs?
No, just keep in mind too, we might take a week off, maybe two, depending on how the schedule shapes up. We won't be next week, guaranteed, because we'll have Gamescom to cover in depth. But looking at the calendar, I don't know that I saw anything until like September. So if we have a weekend where it's just Gosu weeklies or something like that, we might end up taking a week off when not doing a full break in between seasons, because this would be kind of a short season if we were to end it now.
But it would line up with season 2 of Overwatch potentially.
It's true, yeah. That's one thing we talked about with seasons, is doing them at the same time as the competitive mode. That was one option, but it's really going to depend on the tournament scene. So if the tournament scene takes a downturn, we might not have a ton of notice to give you guys, but don't be super surprised if we take a week or two off.
Yeah, or we might do streams or something and just post highlights or just make some videos. I'm sure we'll have something for you, but
we'll be around. You can send us questions even if we're taking a little break.
Yeah. So, but do want to call it a wrap there. Thank you to everyone who tuned in on Twitch. Can I get a clap in the chat? Thank you to all the patrons. Obviously, super helpful. Thank you to everyone who left an iTunes review. This week, last week, in the future. I'm thanking you beforehand, so you can go ahead and do that. Do really appreciate the iTunes reviews. Again, they are the most useful thing that we can have, even more useful, than direct monetary support, honestly. Yes. So yeah, Deathblow, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find links to all my stuff on the website, HighNoonPodcast.com. I don't really stream too much anymore, but I'm also on Twitter at D3ATHBL0W.
Yes, you can also find all my links on HighNoonPodcast.com. You can also find links to the T-shirts. At the shop page, you can find the links to the videos of the week, the matches of the week, and any other videos that we find that are kind of cool. We're going to be posting them on the website. So check out HighNoonPodcast.com. Bookmark it on your web browser. We don't have an app, but bookmark it on your phone too. We're going to try to get some more content on there. You can also check us out on YouTube. I'm going to be posting a video very soon on YouTube. The link to that is on the website as well. Always check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, CreationEsports.com. All that good stuff. We're everywhere. We're anywhere. We're always where. That doesn't make any sense, but it's not nearly as good as the meme that you came up with. But that's going to be it, guys. The last thing I want to do is also thank Adam Hoek. I almost forgot. He is going to be the person that made up this awesome McCree theme song that you're going to hear in just a second. But, Death, I think the only thing there's only one more thing I got to ask.
Thank you, Maturino and Creation Esports.
Yes, also thank you, Maturino and Creation Esports, our partners. But I think the last thing, do you know what time it is, Death?
Just say it, man.
It's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet
Okay, it's a new part of the show, new meme at the end of the show. For those of you who listen, you get great Blevins and Overwatch points. What you need to do to get 5,000 Blevins Overwatch points, you need to tweet at us at HighNoon Podcast, tweet at whoever you would like to have us invite on the podcast, and use the hashtag dramastically, and you'll be awarded 5,000 Overwatch points.
Say something like the podcast would be dramatically better if at
Hashtag dramatically in there. But yes, see ya.